Hoi hoi, Matsuri here. My life has been pretty damn wild. How fast it changed up over the last couple of weeks. It's so weird. Like, I didn't even wake up in my own bed today. But obviously I'm home now. And I'm gonna be going to a protest today. Part of history, I feel like. Maybe not. Don't really feel like the protest is gonna do much for Ukraine. I think everybody knows what's happening with Ukraine right now. I don't really know exactly what this protest is gonna do for Ukraine because we're legit in the UK and like I think it's in support of like Ukraine and like, hey, leave Ukraine alone, my guy. But I have no idea. So I feel like Andrew Gallagher right now, like just running into the wildest things after the last video with the doll, like going to see the Squid Game doll and then running into all those protests and stuff. That was wild. So now this is like a planned protest that I'm going to with my sister, and I don't know, I'm just excited, and I wanted to like document it a little bit because it's like a piece of history, you know? So that's what we're gonna go do.
Afghanistan, because the rule, 20 years of American and NATO rule. They thought they could get away with invading Iraq, and they killed 500,000 people, destroyed a lot of the infrastructure. And it's very important to understand how the people are described by the BBC who fought against that British invasion. Are they described as heroes, Iraqi heroes? The Ukrainians are described as heroes. And of course, if I was in Ukraine, I would support that military opposition. But no, they were discrimination, are terrorists. Just the other thing is that you have BBC journalists in bomb craters inside Kiev. There is a real racist element to this. The Ukrainians are white Christian fighters against an invasion. The people in Iraq and Afghanistan were Arab people of brown colour, of Muslims. They are the terrorists. We now have the freedom fighters. So that's a complete double standard. I also think you have to understand that Ukraine is not a democratic country. There has been for a long time a program in which the Russian-speaking communities have been subject to discrimination and oppression. They formed a party in the early 2000s. That party campaigned for the rights of Russian-speaking people, very much like the SNP fights for the rights of the Scottish people. The other major party was the Communist Party. The Communist Party, whose politics I do not support, but they had parliamentary representation of about 25% in Ukrainian people to solve their issues and problems democratically. And that is why we called this demonstration.
No more! No more! Occupation no more! No more! No more! It's not an occupation no more only in Ukraine. In occupation, either is in Palestine, either is in Iraq, either is in Afghanistan, either the other Saudian decades in Yemen. No more, no more occupation, no more, no more, no more occupation, no more. And we also demand no more, no more NATO expansion, no more, because they are creating the problem. These United States of aggression, these the British imperialists, the white-collar criminals who are sitting in the parliament, they create the problem. They create Islamophobia. They create Taliban. Yesterday, they created Islamophobia. Yesterday, Afghanistan, the Taliban was the terrorists. But today, they are the darlings of these white-collar criminals. So, we should not behave like sheep. We should not follow their policies. They try to control us. They are different assignments. They have already taken lot of money from the people's tax, from the people's revenue. They have taken all the money, billion and billion pounds regarding the vaccine. They have controlled us. They are trying to control us. You are also in that. So we are against no more occupation, no more and no more NATO special, no more. Stop killing innocent people for your own financial interest.
Okay, I can get behind that. Yeah. Stop killing innocent people. Yeah.
I'd like to introduce the next speaker.
Wow, passion.
Teachers, they don't exist anymore. It's the National Education Union. I'm also an activist with Socialist Worker, Trades Council and all the rest of it. And I mentioned some of this because there'll be some of the things I'll say which will clearly be things that will be the National Education Union policy in some way. One thing that is clear is I think we should all be saying Russia out of the Ukraine. Really simple. Yeah. Really simple. Russia out of the Ukraine.
What he
Putin is an imperialist. He is murdering people in the Ukraine. He is not doing it because he's a nice guy. He's not doing it because he's against reactionary politics. Putin is a reactionary. Just look at what he does in Russia to minorities. Just look at what he does in Russia to gay people. Look what he does to Russia, to any kind of opposition. Putin is an autocrat, is an imperialist, and he's invaded Ukraine in order to make certain that Russian imperialism can grow. That's what he's done. He's done it to send a message to the United States and all the rest of it that he will use the blood of Ukrainian people in order to advance Russia's cause. And I think we should have no truck with this. Putin is not a friend of us. We are not on the side of Putin. We are not on the side of Russian aggression. We are not on the side of Russian war. They are murdering people in Ukraine. We quite clearly say Putin and Russia out of the Ukraine. We should be incredibly clear about this. What we want is peace. What we want is peace. You don't get peace. You don't get peace by rolling tanks over Ukrainian people. That isn't the way
What he said.
you get peace. You don't get peace by increasing the amount of bloodshed on the planet. So we are absolutely not on the side of Putin, absolutely not on the side of Russian imperialism, because what it is about Moscow making its influence on the planet. And here's the bit where I think there may be some disagreement then. Why are people here also saying no to NATO? Why are people also saying that? And the reason we're saying that is Russian imperialism is part of an imperialist system. It's part of a system which is based on war, based on oppression, and based on making a very small number of people on this planet even wealthier. Making a very small number of people being able to control the people of the planet. Okay? Putin wants to do that, but let's be honest about this. The United States want to do this as well. So when they look at NATO enlargement, they're not there to defend nations. They don't give a toss about the Ukraine, to be honest. The United States couldn't give a toss about bloodshed in the Ukraine. Apart from this, it is an opportunity for them to grow. And see, we have to say we want less war. One of the impacts of this is that Germany is saying that it is going to increase the amount of money it spends on the military. This is bad news. It is bad news that we've got more war, more aggression defending, not defence spending. So I think we have to stand up and say we want Putin out of Russia. We want to end the war that is being taken place on the peoples of Ukraine. But we also want to end a system of constant war, a system that sees people as being pawns, as people who can be rolled over with tanks, whether they're Russian tanks, American tanks, or whatever. We are saying we want less war, and I think that then means we've got to stand up. We've got to stand up against a system where people are carved up into little units to be carved up by bigger nations. We have to say this is wrong. So I agree with the people here saying stop Putin, stop war. Stuart, we agree with the people here. We are saying stop Putin. We are saying stop war. But we're also saying we need to end a system of war, and that means no to NATO, no to the US imperialism, no to Russian imperialism, no to British imperialism. capitalism, no to imperialism altogether.
Yes.
We want a world based on peace, not on rich nations grabbing smaller nations to do what they want with as much bloodshed as they want. So Stuart, I'll say this really clear, we are not against these people. They are right to say that Putin should get out of Russia. But what we're also saying is we want to end a system which is based on war and profit, which is what we have. Constant wars, constant capitalism, constant imperialism, where ordinary people count for absolutely nothing.
So the point I was making to our Ukrainian friends is here, we're perfectly happy for them to speak, do their chants, but don't interrupt other people's speaking. That is denial of the freedom of speech. And we'll invite them to speak in a minute. We've got a couple of our speakers to come in, and they're perfectly happy for them to speak.
Negotiation, no war, negotiation only. So we'll keep on with this campaign over the coming weeks up until the point the Russian army withdraw their troops, and the fact that Putin has actually stated that he's now threatening with nuclear attacks now. So we want to enter this, and we want de-escalation. Thank you everybody for your time today.
Internationally, there was a meeting taking place about 2 days ago online. Out of that meeting, they're calling for a global day of action this Sunday. I think we should be organising at least one in Birmingham. I know there's going to be several places around the UK, in places like Manchester, Nottingham, London. I want to basically give a call out that we should be assembling here on Sunday, lunchtime, maybe about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. To show solidarity to the Ukrainian people. We don't want Russian aggression, invasion of Ukraine, but it's also it's a mention about the other wars that are taking place around the globe. You know, we don't want occupation of Palestine, we don't want the occupation of war.
The protests same as here, but many are arrested, and as I know, like during these 5 days, like 5,000 people in Russia has been arrested for such a protest, like it's here, and like I know that police here will support me and will protect me, but in Russia, like it's just arrest people. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm against the war as many Russians, and I wanted to distinguish between Russia and the Russian government because unfortunately it's like two different things. Yeah, I'm against the war, I'm against the Putin regime.
Right, that's great. The Russian demonstrators, and we show our solidarity and their courage, but we've got to understand that there are many countries in the world in which America dominates and the repression is far, far worse. So the notion that some people, and Doug talked about this, think that NATO is so wonderful. Go to Libya. In Libya, there are black slaves sold in the street. And they're sold because the NATO helped to bring a power, a brutal regime in 2011, 2012. But I think Thomas wanted to say a few words from Socialist Appeal. Thomas.
Thank you very much. I want to discuss why... Actually, sorry, just need to find my notes, actually, rather than doing it too blind. Thank you very much. I want to discuss why we see this war happening today, because this isn't going to be the last war, this isn't the first war we've seen, nor is it going to be the last war. And the reason why is that war is terrible, terribly profitable. We see around us today that the imperialist powers are attempting to divide and re-divide the globe. In 1991, NATO promised, the United States promised, it would not expand 1 inch to the east. It has now moved 1,000 miles in that direction. The expansion of NATO and the EU is even enshrined in the Ukraine's constitution. For decades, they've attempted to conquer all the markets they could by making billions of Ukraine through IMF-imposed cuts to the healthcare, pensions, and more. Pensions in Ukraine stand at £80 a month. average wages can be less than £200 a month. This wasn't always the case. This has been a direct result of NATO and the EU going wet and taking all the money they could. This is the result of the boom in the 90s and the 2000s, the wealth of Tony Blair's Third Way, promised by the expansion. No, I blame the West. I blame the West for destroying NATO in the first place. The West has opened up, what we see today. £1.6 billion of profit being made by the British state in selling, the Navy and ships through this. The IMF has imposed loan after loan after loan. Ukraine is so indebted that now it takes on IMF loans which are not enough to cover the money it already owes to the IMF. This is imperialism, it's capitalism by other means. But we should be clear. Russia is also guilty because Russia is doing the exact same thing. They are both countries controlled by billionaires, by oligarchs who don't give a damn about working people, who happen to see hundreds of thousands of us, millions, lose our lives in a pandemic to protect our profits. Now they want more, so they go up and they divide, vote for West, vote for East. They launch wars in Ukraine, in Syria, Iraq, all over the world in sense of more and more profit. I was looking at a video of a woman in the Donbass, a region destroyed by civil war for 8 years before US and NATO decided to give it a damn. 15,000 have already died. She said the following: when the masters fight, it is the slaves who suffer. That is the case in Ukraine, and we have to show solidarity. So solidarity with the Ukrainian masses, solidarity with the Russian masses, solidarity in Britain against the imperialists, against the billionaires across the world. Thank you very much.
But we have to be careful, because each side is attempting to supplant the other. I understand the gentleman here getting angry at us blaming NATO, but NATO encirclement and British sanctions have prompted Russia, and Russian aggression will prompt NATO aggression. We have to be careful here in Britain to oppose our bourgeoisie and to stand in parallel with our counterparts in Russia opposing their bourgeoisie, stand in parallel with our counterparts in the Ukraine opposing their bourgeoisie, and fight and organise for a world not built on profit, not built on grotesque expansion and war, but built on solidarity and need. That is a socialist world, and we have to organise to make that capable, to make ourselves capable of doing that. We as Fight Racism, Fight Imperialism aim to build that movement in Britain. The British ruling class is not the kind face that it appears. It buys that kindness through its imperialism, as Stuart was mentioning before. The British Labour Party, supposed opposition, its opposition to sanctions and to warfare has come from the right. They demand more sanctions. They demand more troops. This is absurd. The bourgeois forces aren't going to come together and discuss ending capitalism. It's not in their interests. The EU is a capitalist project, and the competition within it is re-emerging now in this brutal, grotesque form, and our only option is to come together and organise and ensure that the working class is willing and capable to build socialism in imperialist Britain, inside the belly of the beast. Thank you very much.
We got Steve and then you. Is a member of the Labour Party, might better. Right?
Right. Now, if we cast our mind back 2 or 3 years, the Syrian crisis was there. The Syrian people in Syria came to Birmingham. We demanded, we still demand that they're welcome here, right? If we look what's happening over the channel in Europe, the European Democrats have at least had to say to the people who want to leave the Ukraine, you have 3 years without hassle. Now, that may not be, I hope it's right, but what I'd really like to say to us, the Ukrainians, people from Ukraine, their sympathisers, we should organise as best we can the fact that Birmingham will welcome as many people who want to come. If they want to get on the plane from a Polish airport, we should go down to the international airport and welcome them. We want as many planes as possible to fly into Birmingham, and we want Ian Ward and the councillors to be there to be welcoming them off the plane. In other words, we have got to this. We can help help those people who decide to leave because they're in a war zone to come to Britain. And if you look at Birmingham, willy-nilly, Birmingham was rebuilt post-war by people from all over the world. Polish people, some Ukrainian people, some people from Italy, mostly, of course, from the old empire. We should not have any Eastern European racism. That's not likely to happen. But if I make the point, and I appeal to people from Ukraine, set up your reception committee, set up your organisation, go online, right, and make hell for those people who sit in the town hall who want to back NATO first. I'm not going to go into that debate. Making sure that if they your democratic right to come to
What?
sorry, mate. making sure that Ukrainian people are welcome here. It's very straightforward, right? It's not a complicated thing to talk about. The international politics are left to other people, right? But we are people on the ground. I believe there was 300 people outside the council house right now. Where are they? Are they online? Is it a community? I'm in the Labour Party. If you demand me, or you tell me that I've got to visit Ian Ward, and I've got to say, I've met the young people, I've met the Ukrainians. They want to know if they are welcome here. I'll tell him they should be welcome here, and you'll help me make that policy. It's as straightforward as that. Thanks.
Yeah, my guy. This guy.
Well, hello everyone. Hope you can hear me. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming in this weather on there, and say that we're all human beings, and we should always remember that it's always the best of humanity that always the best of humanity that in moments like this you realize what's important. And I want to talk about not the politics. I want to talk about the humanity. What we can all do, we can all support, make sure that the Ukrainians are welcome in this country, and make sure that there's a petition and we support it. That what is it that our Home Secretary, there are people on there that are fighting, ordinary people that had jobs, were living ordinary lives, and now they're fighting for their freedom, they're fighting for their families on there. So what the question we are going to ask ourselves is, like, what can we do, but also, how can we become better people? So thank you very much.
Yay. Right, thank you, Takir. I think we're going to have to call this to an end. On Saturday here at 12 o'clock, there is a cost of living crisis rally. The war is increasing prices. Petrol was $1.45. I've seen it $1.53. Food prices are going to go up as a result of this confrontation because a lot of food is produced in Ukraine and Russia. But large numbers of ordinary people are suffering very badly. They've got notification from their gas suppliers that their bills are going to go up £500–600 a year. They're going to have to pay more national insurance. There is no big increased taxes on the rich, on the capital gains tax, on the top rate of income tax. They are not paying. So I think I'd urge people to be here at 12 o'clock this Saturday. I'd also like to ask people if they can help us move our sound equipment. We've got a van outside Marks and Spencer's where we're going to carry the sound equipment. So if you can give us a hand there. But thanks, given the weather, I think it's been a relatively successful event. We've had some good speeches. We've had people from the Russian community had their say, and we've had other people, trade unionists, socialists, and therefore Stop the War Coalition, which I'm the secretary, is very put this event on. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good job, my guys. Okay, okay, cool.